Hey, everybody. I'm Chris Metzler, Director of Programming here at the Green Film Festival of San Francisco. As we go through submissions and look through all kinds of films, we see films from all around the world, and it's always exciting to kind of run across films like the wonderful documentary you just saw right now, Drowned Land. And we're lucky enough to have Colleen Thurston here. Welcome, Colleen.
Great. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Most definitely. Maybe a good place to start is, how did you kind of first hear about this story and know that it was something that you wanted to kind of capture and put on screen?
Yeah, as you saw in the film, I really had been thinking a lot about my grandfather's work constructing these dams throughout the state. And so I kind of came into the film wanting to explore the lakes, the man-made lakes, as a result of these dams. And the more time I spent in this community of Sardis Lake, which is where the elderly couple at the beginning of the film live, um, the more the community would say the stories of the lakes are important. That is our history. But the fight right now and the timely story is that of the Kaimishi River. So I really listened to the people of the community and to what they felt like the story was. And I always say I really feel like the river pulled me there. She's a bit of a diva, and I feel like, I kind of joke that she was like, "You're gonna make my movie." But that's how I ended up meeting Ken, Lauren, Sandy, and Charlotte. And I feel like all of us kind of fell into these different positions that we have within the larger story.
And given how where the film kind of pulled you, what do you think is were there any kind of particular surprises of things that once you knew you wanted to kind of go on this journey that didn't kind of conform to your expectations or that I guess surprised you that you wouldn't have guessed ahead of time?
I think I really feel like the whole process was a bit of a surprise because it wasn't what I was looking to do. It wasn't the story I thought I was going to tell. But I feel like the aha moment um was realizing that, the potential displacement that the community was facing was part of this larger cycle of displacement that goes back to the Trail of Tears. And having to really like recognize and reckon with that and realize it's all by design. But then also being this um observer and witness to people that were trying to actively stop that cycle. So that's the biggest aha. That was the biggest surprise for me. There were other things along the way. There's so much that I learned, everything from like the importance of mussels to our ecosystems. And we all should be very concerned about mussel die off if we want clean water. Everything from that to I found out that the Choctaw Constitution, the first one that we signed in Indian Territory, which became Oklahoma, was signed at a place called Turnbull's Stand on the confluence of the Kiamishi River and Jack Fort Creek, which is now where Sardis Lake is. And that name, Turnbull Stand, comes from my family. That would be a great great uncle's land. So that historical significance that ties me to that place, that ties my family to that place, was deeply moving. So yeah, quite a bit of surprises there in the production of the film.
And as a filmmaker, where does this kind of fit within the sorts of stories that you often tell? Are there certain types of stories that you're kind of gravitated towards, and do you have another project that you're currently working on?
Yeah, thank you for asking that. I am, deeply invested in stories that intertwine people and place. I do believe that the land holds our stories just as much as we as cultures and societies do. So that intersection, those intersectional stories of people and land, have always been part of my practice or the stories that I'm called to. Um, I have a couple of project short films that I'm working on developing right now. I worked with my DP Charles Elmore, who was the DP on Drownland. And we just shot a like micro short doc about turtle racing, which is kind of like a subculture thing that happens at like county fairs kind of throughout the South. And just also finished production on a music video, which is exciting. And then yeah, I have a longer project that I'm developing about indigenous puppetry and
Oh
kind of
wow.
those, which doesn't sound like it's kind of land-based, but to be indigenous is to be a land-based person. So intertwining those stories and cultures of indigeneity with puppetry. So a more like uplifting, really fun kind of project that I'm looking forward to diving into more.
That sounds really cool. What's a good way for folks to continue to kind of follow your filmmaking and also what happens with the film?
Yeah, people, the best way to follow the film is social media. We're on Facebook and Instagram right now, Drownland Film. And yeah, to follow me, I'm kind of in and out of social media, honestly, but my handle on Instagram is Petogram, Peteograham. So yeah, that's where you can find me, and hopefully we can cross paths at a festival in the future.
Let's tell you, it's a really wonderful film, and as we wrap things up, I guess not every film needs to have like kind of a call to action or a take action, but like when we walk out of the theater or finish watching the film, is there anything that you'd like us to kind of reflect on, of like what we can do in our own community, that kind of relates to the kind of larger themes with the film?
Absolutely. That's a wonderful question. I really appreciate you asking that, because one thing that we're trying to encourage with Drownland is to get to know your water source. Where does your drinking water come from? And what are there any issues that that water source is facing? Who are the people that are the original stewards of that water source as well? Where are they? Are they allowed to be at the table when decisions are made about that water source? So we're really encouraging people to educate themselves about especially our drinking water, and when you turn on the tap, where that water comes from, and yeah, who are the people that are connected to that water source, both currently and traditionally.
Very cool. Well, thanks again for making the film, Colleen, and really appreciate you being part of the Green Film Festival of San Francisco.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. It looks like a wonderful program, and I hope folks can watch a lot of other films as well. So thank you so much, Chris.
Most definitely.